Peace family, Conjure Queen here, and today we are going to be pulling two cards for the new moon coming up this Friday. It's going to be a new moon in Aries, so it's going to be a really powerful time. We're going to have the sun and the moon kissing together with that both solar and lunar energy, and not to mention that, you know, we're coming out of Mercury retrograde, shaking off the dust and all of the woes of Mercury retrograde and all of the craziness that probably been going on for the past couple of weeks in March. But now we are in April and we are in spring, springing forward with this Aries season, this fiery energy to start off new beginnings, new chapters, and pretty much new projects in our life. So what is a new moon, right? New moons basically represents new beginnings, new projects, new starts, new relationships, new ventures, new things, new jobs, new places, all types of exciting good energy. So these are the two cards that I'm going to be pulling today. I already had shuffled and pulled these cards before I started the video, just to get straight to the point. So first we're going to start with the Legacy deck. This is the Legacy deck, and this is the Egyptian Book of Doors. Now, it's really interesting because, like, you guys, I shuffled these at random, and I think that it was really interesting that these cards came up. Now, first I'm just going to pull one at a time, okay? But what's really interesting is the Egyptian card, but I'm going to leave that for last. And before I start, guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share this with a friend who can also benefit from the information that's going to be presented here. So basically, I pulled this card, right? And this is the wheel. So I do my readings a little bit differently from other people. I don't just go based upon, okay, what this card means, the general meaning. I use my intuition. I look at the pictures, the images around, and what it's telling me. So one of the things about this particular card in the wheel in a Legacy deck, and I'm going to just zoom in a little bit more so you guys can get more details, is that this represents cycles. You see what I'm saying? Like what goes around comes around. Life is not linear. Life happens in cycles. We're talking about seasons, the planets, even our internal biological cycle in our bodies. So everything has a cycle in life. You know, there's birth, there's maturation, and then there's death, right? So this is also being represented in the wheel. Now, what does this have to do with the new moon, you're probably asking, right? Well, it's really interesting because this card is coming up today pretty much to give us a little bit of idea about how life works. Asking yourself, where was I last year around this time in April? If you pay really close attention to your life, you'll notice that whatever you was doing last year, you're probably going through a similar experience this time, this go around in this particular cycle in life, right? So we go through different cycles each month, lunar month, solar year, things change. So the wheel is basically coming to remind you that karma is very real. If you've been working really hard and going through this time of reflection during the winter, right? So before spring, you know, we was going through winter. That was a time to plant intentions, to rest up, to detox, to do the things that you needed to do to prepare for the new year. The new year is actually really spring, right? So Aries season is time to spring forward. It's time for that fresh start. That's why Aries are very assertive. They're go-getters because they have all of that energy that's just backing them up to go. That fiery energy that's right on their back that helps propel them forward. And that's the energy that we want to use here. Now, the wheel basically reminds you that make sure that you're not repeating old cycles that are toxic for you. Make sure that you're breaking old karmic cycles and that you're starting new cycles that are more healthier for you. What are the circles that you roll in? Are these healthy relationships? Are these toxic relationships? What habits have you developed? Are they good habits? Are they bad habits? Are they healthy? Are they toxic? You know, are you in alignment with the cycles of the universe? This deals with also lunar cycles. And as you can see here, this is the planet Jupiter, right? So Jupiter is currently in the sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter represents the planet of luck, of fortune, and Jupiter is also one of the great teachers. Jupiter comes around to pretty much bless us at this time, saying that if you've been going through a really rough patch in life, when it comes to fortune, when it comes to like whatever, your relationships, when it comes to money, work, school, health, whatever you've been going through, I feel like things are about to come change for you, right? Because this basically, the wheel represents the law of rhythm. right? When we think about the 7 Hermetic principles, there's the law of rhythm that says that, you know, life is not always happy, life is not always sad. Things go up, things go down, but that is just the cycle of life, right? So whenever we're having a really bad time, we focus on the good times that we once had, just knowing that these bad times are not going to last forever. Life is temporary. This too shall pass, right? So also know that whatever issues you've been going through, it's about to subside. Things are about to like be pushed into the background. You're about to overcome whatever challenges that you've been facing. And the wheel just basically comes to remind you that Jupiter is here to give you some blessings, to give you a helping hand, to let you know that your fortune is really about to turn around. Now, this is only if you've been putting in the work. Now, if you haven't been putting in the work and you've been kind of lazy, you've been doing a lot of like setting bad intentions for yourself, doing a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors, sabotaging others, hurting others, doing a lot of wicked things, then what's happening here is that you're about to reap what you've sown. You're about to pretty much like lay in the bed that you made. So spring is always about like everything is blooming. So just like when we plant seeds and when we grow like plants or herbs and stuff, like, you know, during the winter, spring is like all of those, that's when the plants are starting to sprout. That's when you start to see growth. So this is the growth period. So whatever you've been doing since you've been like in your cocoon phase during winter, it's like, okay, what have you learned the past couple of months or weeks? What have you developed? What have you learned? So this is what this new moon is all about, teaching you to break unhealthy cycles, to start new healthy cycles, and really to plant that intention for this new moon coming up on Friday. So I hope you guys are, you know, setting those intentions for April 5th, this Friday, for the new moon. It's going to be a very powerful time, okay? And you see you have all of the elements here. You have the cup, the pentacles, you have the, what is this? The cup, the pentacles, the wands, and you have the sword. So you have all of the different elements, the spirits of the 4 elements, the 4 directions, the 4 winds that are here to assist you. Everything is all here coming together. So you want to utilize that energy to really manifest and focus on you know, setting those intentions during the new moon. Start thinking about that now. Don't wait until the day of, but start writing down your intentions. What new cycles do I want to start? You know, what new projects do I want to embark on? Do I want to travel? Do I want to get back to school? Do I want to start that job? You know, do I want to ask for that promotion? Things like that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over the Egyptian Book of Doors. Now, this is a really interesting card here. This is Khonshu. Now, Ah is the family of the moon gods, right? And we know that 7 is a very mystical, spiritual number. Now, when we look at Khonshu, right, who is Khonshu? Well, Khonshu is the god of the moon. Khonshu is also the son of Mut and Amun. So Amun is the hidden sun, the hidden one, right? Invisible sun. And Mut is also the great mother goddess. So we all come from the waters of Mut, right? So he comes from the primordial gods. Now Khonshu he pretty much predates, he's like the pre-dynastic god before Heru. Right? Most people know about Horus, Heru, Isis, or Set, or Osiris, Osar. But Khonshu is particularly coming up, which is interesting because these cards actually are very similar and they go hand in hand. Khonshu deals with the cycles of the moon. What are we talking about in this reading? We're talking about the new moon cycle, right? Khonshu represents the new moon. Why is the new moon so powerful? Let me tell you why. Because they believed in ancient Kemetic times, Kemet being ancient Egypt, right? They believed that whenever the sun eclipsed the moon, whenever the sun and the moon were together, this was a very powerful time for magical work. This is a very powerful time to do spells, to set your incantations, and to pretty much like put forth your hakao, or your words of power. So you want to be very aware of the thoughts and the intentions and words that you use during this time, because the universe is very receptive and is receiving everything that you're putting forward. Khonshu also brings wisdom. He's here to teach you certain things. Whatever you have done in the past, he's going to teach you, okay, you know what? maybe that action that you took before probably wasn't so wise. So how can we go about doing it so that it can be more helpful or fruitful for you, right? Khonshu brings fruitfulness. He also brings protection and enlightenment. So if you've been feeling like you've been going through a really dark time, Khonshu comes to enlighten the way for you, to pretty much dispel of darkness. Khonshu also is the resurrected mind, body, and soul. Remember what we're talking about, spring, right? We've been really pretty much resting. Our body has been being in synchronicity with the universe, with the heavens, with the cosmos, right? With the earth. So just like the moon and the sun and the seasons have cycles, so do our body, and our body is synchronized with that's around us, as above, so below. So Khonshu is basically coming to you at this time, basically saying that now that the springtime is here, now that the new moon of spring of Aries is here, it's time for you to spring forward and start a new beginning, a new moon, a new chapter in your life, to dispel of the negative energy, of the darkness, of that cocoon that you was in all winter, and Mercury retrograde, right? Because Mercury retrograde makes us go within. It makes us rest. It makes us think about all of the actions that we've been taking. So utilizing everything that you've learned for the past couple of weeks in March, you want to utilize this time to really develop yourself and put all of that energy and wisdom that you've learned into this new moon, so that way you can break old cycles that we've been talking about with the wheel, right? And Khonshu is basically coming to help guide you along the way. As you see that he has the staff. He has the staff, so he's basically showing that he's mastered the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? The moon basically represents the spirit, the soul, the hidden mysteries, magic, wisdom, femininity. Even though he's a masculine, he's pictured as a masculine god. But back then in Kemet, they saw Khonshu, the masculine energy, as actually being part of the moon. But anyway, you see that he's standing on water. So water represents what? Fluidity, being fluid, allowing your spirit to flow. This new moon, you want to be more creative. You don't want to be stagnated and stiff, because remember, we're coming out of this cocoon, this mummification, to be blossomed and spread our wings like the true butterflies that we are, right? So this is a time of growth, of renewal, and resurrection. This is a time where we want to utilize the new moon to be in sync with the seasons, right? We want to get in alignment with this Aries energy. We want to embark and go forward. We want to shake off the dust of all of that long rest that we've been going through, that deep rest, right? So if you've been feeling kind of down or depressed lately, remember, like Jim Carrey once said, depression is not necessarily a bad thing. Depression is really just means deep rest, to be in a deep state of resting, to be in that cocoon phase. So that way when spring comes, which is now, we can spring forward and start new projects, become the new person that we are. We are the new resurrected mind, body, and soul and spirit that we've been developing for the past couple of weeks and couple of months. So if you've been working on yourself, you know, in summary, these two cards together to wrap everything up basically means for those who've been working on themselves and developing themselves, the cycle is coming. Now you're about to reap what you've sown. You're about to develop a lot of good fortune with Jupiter in the background. And also you have Khonshu, the moon god, coming to enlighten the way, to dispel the darkness and to give you illumination via mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul, meaning that now it's time to pick up new habits. Or let's say you want to start eating healthier. That's going to rejuvenate your body. Let's say you want to stimulate your mind. Start picking up a class or reading more books, you know, stimulating your mind, doing puzzles, doing things that actually stimulate you mentally. Spiritually, start getting into more spiritual practices, whether that's doing more meditation, some yoga, deep breathing, going on a little spiritual journey or spiritual trip, a getaway. Whatever it is that you haven't done before, this is the time to do it. Don't be afraid to take chances, because you have the gods, the elements, the spirit of fire, water, air, earth, all of the cosmos, as well as the gods assisting you at this time. So I just want to leave you guys with that. I hope that this video has helped you and given you some wisdom in any way. So that'll be all for today, guys. This is going to be a really good new moon, so start planning and putting out your intentions now. But that's all for now, family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Conjure Queen signing out. Peace.